Today, my friends, we witnessed the fall of one of the greatest in real life that got completely wrecked in World of Tanks Blitz. Today, we talk about this. We talk about the Panther. You already know, without playing World of Tanks Blitz, if you are a tank fan, what the Panther is. A real tank that was used during World War II that was extremely effective. And in order to make it as good as it was historically talking, Wargaming decided to buff it on a couple of stuff, such as its gun, but most importantly, its armor. And that made it a really funny and nice tank to play with. But it seems like Wargaming came back on their decision. If you still want to be able to have fun with your Panther, you should definitely play it in the 8.3 update, because in the 8.4 it's definitely not the same tank. But in order for you to understand what I mean, I'm just going to take a look at the statistics of the tank before the 8.4 and after the new update. So basically, this is the tank we are currently playing with, which has an amazing armor, as you can see, sitting at 165 and more millimeters of armor on the turret, which is enough for you to bounce pretty much every single shell coming from tier 6 if they are not using gold shell, and some tier 7 if they are not using the higher tier gun, or even if they are not using gold shell as well. But on top of that, when you take a look at the armor profile of the hull, it's even worse, because here you feature around 190 millimeter, and if you manage to angle the hull, you were literally impenetrable for most of the targets, such as it was intended by Wargaming, simply because they wanted to make the Panther relevant due to its historical accuracy and historical brawling. But this is the tank you're gonna get in the 8.4 update, and yeah, to be honest, it's kind of destroyed. Just take a look at that. On the turret, you come from 175 to 132 millimeters. Here, tier 6 will penetrate, tier 7 will penetrate, everyone will penetrate without struggling at all, and it's going to be the exact same full hull, which features 150 millimeters at max. And yeah, even if you angle it, you are still gonna struggle, because at the same angle that we had previously, here you will get penetrated if the enemies are using gold shell. Yeah, I reacted the same as you guys. I was just disappointed, and I was disappointed for two things. The first is, I don't understand that buff. We don't see that much Panthers running around in the game, and it doesn't seem like the strongest opponent. Yes, it's still quite a strong medium and definitely above average, but was it really necessary for Wargaming to nerf it that harsh in the upcoming update? I mean, they could have done that gradually, like, don't just remove 40 millimeters of real armor on the turret of a tank that is used for a grind. I mean, I understand that they buffed the E50M and that they want to make a real gap between the E50M and the other tanks of the branch, but here, wow, this is savage. And on top of that, I don't really see why Wargaming is doing that, because when you take a look at those kind of tanks, the tech tree tank that lead you to a tier 10, usually they are here to allow you to adapt to the upcoming playstyle of the tier 10. And the Panther did that well, because if you compare it with the E50M, it's literally a tier 7 E50M. It has the same armor that is impenetrable with regular shells, such as it's the case for the E50M. It also has that good ramming speed. It also has that pew-pew gun. I mean, both things are quite similar, but if Wargaming decides all of a sudden to just get off the armor on that tank, then it doesn't feel like it belongs in the E50M line, anymore. Maybe it would be a transition between the Leo 1 line and the E50M line. And so, yeah, maybe it's the statistics that talk by themselves, because usually Wargaming tend to nerf tanks when they are outperforming the others, so it seems like the Panther is in Wargaming collimator for this. But is it going to change something about the game itself? No. I don't see that much Panthers running around in the game. Maybe you do, guys, but truly it's not like it was a Smasher or an Annihilator. And this leads me to talk about that as well, because at tier 7 I feel like we have much bigger problems than taking care of a Panther that just everybody's using to grind to get the Panther 2, and after just sell it or keep it for the style, but that's it, and don't play it anymore. Whereas a Smasher or an Annihilator that is 100% more gonna change the matchmaking and the outcome of the game, they are not getting nerfed. And it will never happen. It will never happen, simply because those tanks are too popular. People spend money on them, and if Wargaming just decided to nerf them all of a sudden, they would just shoot a bullet in their feet. But maybe we can hope that one day they will either become irrelevant because of the new tanks that will be definitely better in the tech tree, or worse, they will become irrelevant simply because Wargaming keep pushing in the game those completely broken tanks. We'll have to see, but to me it's an illogical decision, but it's an illogical one simply because I don't have access to all the statistics, all the things Wargaming gathered about the tank, which obviously should justify kind of their decision of nerfing the thing. On top of that, that nerf is severely gonna affect the statistics of this tank when it's being played bottom tier, because against tier 8 it was already hard for you to bounce shells, but with 40mm less of raw armor, it's going to be extremely difficult to become relevant again and to really make a change. Maybe it was Wargaming goal in the end, maybe they just wanted that tank to not be too relevant because it seems to have an importance on the battlefield, I don't know, but it's still in my head stupid. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe you agree with Wargaming on this one, guys, and if it's the case, feel free to tell me in the comments and why you agree with Wargaming as well. I mean, when you take a look at, for example, the Tiger 1 that Wargaming decided to buff, we all know that the Tiger 1 in its current state is completely broken once you know how to play it. It has armor, it has the DPM, it also has the mobility, it has literally everything. And yet Wargaming didn't do anything about it, so maybe they are first trying to remove the buff that occurred on the Panther a while ago to put it on the perspective to be able to see how statistically the tank will react, and on the other hand, after they will just take the Tiger 1 and just do the exact same. We don't know, but it feels weird from Wargaming to actually buff the Panther, and this is what happened in the past, and all of a sudden they are like, you know what, we buffed that tank, but we're gonna come back on what we did and we are just gonna put it like it was before the buff, before like the vanilla tank. If someone has an answer to this question, someone that works at Wargaming, just tell me, because I'm genuinely curious to know what went in your mind, guys. Now, of course, we should talk a little bit about how the playstyle is going to be affected, because obviously it will be affected. Basically, back in the days, you could use your armor by over-angling on corners, etc., in order to make your enemies bounce. You will still be able to do that against tier 6 and against tier 7, but against tier 8, don't try it anymore. Against tier 8, guys, what you will have to do is literally waiting for your team to sneak shots and to take shots from the enemies before yourself going in, which is gonna make the playstyle lame. It's going to make that tank less interesting, and maybe it's gonna increase the number of camper using this tank simply because it's not relevant anymore to be effective on the battlefield as a brawler, which was its main purpose, and I think it's kind of a shame because we don't have that much brawlers in the game. Tell me in the comments, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I would be curious to know, and hopefully I'll see you soon for a new video. Bye.